Hello everyone. Uh, so there's been this long-going issue with regards to Mr. Raihan Kabir from Malaysia, him being arrested and whatever he said on the internet. There is this issue that is this a case of racism, harassment, abuse, and etc. by the Malaysian government on its migrant workers, especially on Bangladeshis, and then again the another viewpoint of Raihan spreading or people like him spreading misinformation about how Malaysia is treating its migrant workers. I just went through a couple of, quite some time back, I went through the report that caused all of these issues to arise or these questions to arise was the 101 talk by Al Jazeera, wherein the Bangladeshi migrant worker, Mr. Raihan Kabir, he said the things he said. I've noted down a few points. So let's go ahead and I'll tell you something about it. So in the video, which is almost quite some time long, almost half an hour long, at about 6 minutes and 9 seconds onwards is the first few glimpses we get of Mr. Raihan Kabir. He says that I'm quoting him here that they made a trap for us. They may give food, they give medication, all these things they give, so no one expecting they are going to arrest people. The video goes on from 6:09 or 6:08, if I'm not wrong, to 6:25. But during this time, Raihan also says at 6:19 that this is his words. I'm just quoting him. They are not murderers. They are not criminals. They are just undocumented. Just to remember this quote when further in when I say that they are not murderers, they are not criminals, they are just undocumented people. Then later on, a couple of minutes fast forwarded, at 8:50. At 8 minutes and 50 seconds, Ms. Sunita, a lawyer for migrant workers, she asks Raihan that if Ridoy, a person who is Raihan's friend and is a migrant worker but is undocumented, basically an illegal migrant worker who was caught and taken to a quarantine center or a detention center by the Malaysian authorities. So Raihan is searching for help wherein he can go ahead and find the whereabouts about his friend, or know how his friend is doing or in what condition he is. He meets up with this lawyer who is a lawyer for migrant workers, Miss Sunita, and I didn't get her. I don't remember her last name. So she asks Mr. Raihan if Ridoy attempted. This situation. The story is like this. Sorry for that. So the situation is like this, that Raihan's friend Ridoy used to work for an employee who later on didn't want to renew the visa that Ridoy was working under. Because the cause for non-renewing was that the company that Ridoy used to work for went bankrupt. Now, so that's the question here. So Miss Sunita asks Raihan that did Ridoy in any instance or any time contact the labor ministry or any other concerned authorities to file a case for his employer, against his employer, that he is not willing to renew my contract, so I'm in a situation like this. I want to stay here in Malaysia. I want to find, I'm able to do different works, or I'll be able to do this work or such and such work. Can you help me in order to get me a good, renew my visa, get another working visa, and get my payments back if I have any from my previous employer. Raihan's response to this question was just hear this out. People like workers and laborers here in Malaysia, like Raihan and Ridoy, people like them, like workers and laborers here in Malaysia, how do you expect them to know that there are these things where you can go into the labor ministry and you can go ahead and you can file a case against your employer if he's not paying you properly, if he does not want to renew your work visa, and such and such. he next repeatedly pleads with Miss Sunita that if he, Raihan, could, get in touch with Hriday, who is in captivity. To which Miss Sunita replies that no one, no one is allowed. Anyone who has a prior lawyer, even lawyers are not allowed to, go ahead and visit their clients. So and then we move forward to 10:06, where Raihan Kabir claims that this is racism. I'm quoting him again at 10:06. Raihan Kabir in the video states this is racism, and I'm again quoting, all a clear act of humiliating people. He also is worried about the migrant people's future in Malaysia, also believes migrant people might not believe the government in the future. So what the issue here is, when this pandemic of corona struck Malaysia, people needed to be tested. That's what WHO said. The more you test, the more cases you will find, and more efficiently and chronologically you can go ahead and curb the pandemic. Restrict the pandemic. So Malaysia did the same thing. So they knew they had a lot of immigrant workers. They also knew they had a lot of illegal migrant workers, as well as legal migrant workers. So what they did is they gave a general amnesty that you can come forward, we'll just test you for the corona, you do not need to have legal documents and papers. I don't know the whole Al Jazeera story. When they said all of these, they did not say why and the reason why the Malaysian government started rounding up people, blocking making blockades, rounding up people, and then ultimately arresting and segregating or confining into quarantine or detention centers of these illegal immigrant workers. What I think is, my basic opinion about, after watching the whole of this Al Jazeera documentary, that to some extent, let's say 1 to 2% at least, the government of Malaysia has used the pandemic as a situation to basically curb this issue or matter at hand of illegal migrants in Malaysia. Like, all around the world the population is growing. The population all around the world is growing, so there is likewise enough amount of jobs are not being created. Me living in the Middle East for quite some time, almost like 15 to 17 years, I know of certain that I've seen this nationalism spirit within all of these countries. People who did not do odd jobs are now into odd jobs because they want to be a part of the society, in order to a part of their own society where they belong to. They don't want migrants to come over, take their jobs, take their money and send them back home. So there are a lot of unemployed native people in those respective countries, be it the Middle East, the Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, America, UK, the Europe, everywhere in the world. So now what happens is, there is a pressure on the government by the common people, the native people of that individual respective country, that you send back these migrant workers. So if you have a valid visa, then okay, fine. But if you don't, then the government has a cause or a reason to send you back to your own country, to the country of your origin or your nationality. Now the question comes in, whatever Raihan said, do I agree with it or not? To a larger extent, let's say 99%, I do not agree with Raihan Kabir. He did not view this. He is calling for a humanitarian support, or to treat the migrants, illegal migrants, as humans and such. But nowhere in this whole Al Jazeera documentary I did find, yes, they were rounded up, they might have been put in chains, because I'll tell you this. There is this thing that if the administration or the police authorities or the officers think that this guy could be a bit fidgetive, or he could create nuisance, they could handcuff him. in that Al Jazeera documentary, before Raihan Kabir's interview, there was this other guy from Pakistan who said that he was handcuffed and they were all chained up. But nowhere did he say that his 6-year-old daughter was also chained. If that's the case, and if he has enough proof, then fine. Yes, there are humanitarian issues, and as I said, yes, there are 99% I don't agree with, but there's 1% that humanitarian issues, that there could be suppressive. Malaysian government might be suppressive, might be discriminative, might be harassive, so abusive. The way Raihan portrayed the whole issue at hand was not the way it should have been portrayed. He should have said that yes, my friend is an immigrant worker, but he has humanitarian rights. So in accordance to that humanitarian rights, I just wanted to know, like, is he being given food? Is he being given proper sanitation facilities, hygienic facilities? They are all rounded up in a small, tight, close spot. So this is also a plus point for the government. Let's say that there are 100 people in quarantine, and out of the 100, let's say 3, are tested to be COVID positive. Now, what comes up is that these 3 persons can be separated, isolated, treated, and then you know for sure that those who are on the outside, who are not in quarantine, who are not in isolation, are all right. They are healthy people, so you don't have an issue with them. So you can excellently curb this pandemic situation. The effectiveness of a lockdown is to actually segregate and separate the infected individuals from the uninfected ones. Because if you don't separate them, they will continue to infect. The infected ones will continue to infect the uninfected ones, and ultimately all of the whole populace within that lockdown area will become infected. So what will this happen? The mortality cases might rise. The people providing aid to all of this community, let's say 100 people of the whole community are affected, so the people providing aid and supplies to this particular lockdown area might become infected again. So that person might again spread it to some other person, which in turn ultimately does not help you to treat or restrict this pandemic situation. Now let's say the issue of Raihan Kabir being arrested and him posting videos on the YouTube like he's speaking for the migrant workers, and so no, he's not speaking for migrant workers, not at all. Never he has spoken for migrant workers. In all of his talk, I feel what he has done is he has allowed the government to point fingers at the migrant workers. What he should have said is, yes, there are undocumented people, yes, there are illegal migrant workers. What the government needs to do is, the government is doing an excellent thing, in providing us with food and supplies and medicines. What the government needs to do is, at this point of time, just do not arrest us, let us be who we are. All you can do is give us a separate opportunity to redeem ourselves. Okay, you want to put us behind some walls, you can do that, but do give us an opportunity. There is a constructive way of a criticism. You go ahead and you criticize the government, and what do you expect them to do? They'll hold you by the teeth, right? So whatever Raihan said, I saw this video he posted on, before being arrested. He said, this video might be my last video, and I'm trying to keep myself safe, and etc and etc. I speak for all the migrant workers all around the globe, all the Bangladeshi migrant workers all around the globe. No, guy, you have been in Malaysia for the last 6 years. I live my life as an NRB. I know what an illegal migrant worker is and what a legal migrant worker is. I know what challenges the embassy of Bangladesh faces while deporting all these illegal migrant workers from that respective countries. You can't understand, you can't redeem, you can't apprehend the amount of criticism that all the other legal migrant workers have to face in order for these illegal migrant workers. Let's say you said that these people might not be murderers or criminals. Do you vouch for them? Do you vouch that none of them ever in their lives have murdered or committed any crime? Do you vouch? If you can vouch, and if someone else can come up and prove that no guy, you are wrong, then basically that means that you did something that you want to hide. All right. Now the problem was being undocumented. Come on, rule is a rule. How dare you become an undocumented person? Yes, you might have sold your property back home. You might have taken a lot of loans to go to that foreign country. But then again, you should have also weighed the risks that yes, whatever I'm doing, I might end up blowing it all up. All right. So you should have thought it all about. Rather than going to a foreign country in order to get a more solid income, what you could have done is taken that loan, sold out your property, and started a business in your own country. Let it be small. You wanted a life of luxury. Come on, accept it. You didn't think that you thought your way of life or the position that you were in was not good enough. You did not accept your status in the society. So, blabbering and screaming about Raihan Kabir and his humanitarian issue, I accept that Malaysian government might be hard on him, so we need to think about his safety, or him not being physically tortured or abused or harassed inside when in detention. But then again, do not support what Raihan Kabir said. Come on, think about it rationally. Those of you who have gone to a foreign country, who are living there as legal migrant workers and businessmen, and I mean as well as the workforce of that country, don't you think that you in some ways are being misportrayed by these illegal migrant workers? Don't you think that? Like, any small crime, I do still remember during my time in the Middle East, there was this Bangladeshi guy who went ahead and he did something abusive towards a female. So the whole native community start bullying all the other people. Like, oh, you guys are from Bangladesh, so you have, this is your inborn nature to bully females. I mean, harass females, abuse females. So, why should I take an unnecessary blame because of that illegal immigrant worker? Tell me that. Don't you think Bangladesh, I mean, let's say because of someone or 10 black sheep, why does the whole community have to take blame? Once you answer that, you'll know why I don't agree with Raihan Kabir. Good day to all of you.